What is this, like the Dratnos is the sixth time that we've seen Sepulcher get nerfed?
At least, maybe more.
So for those who don't know, basically there are going to be even more changes to Sepulcher. I went through and was looking to see where the nerfs were, and I just was like looking for a bunch of the different nerfs. I couldn't find them all. I found 4 pages very quickly of just massive nerfs. But today we have Lahuvim, Halandris, Anduin, Rygolon, and Jailer getting nerfed again. And a lot of these aren't number nerfs. A lot of them are again mechanical changes to fights, which is something
so
consistent.
The Resonance Cascade thing, for instance, that means you could just stack all 20 players whenever you get the Cosmic Shift, or, you know, a melee group and a range group, rather than having to do like 5 groups of 4. That mechanic has been, it's not been like deleted, but it's been changed hugely. It's been cut in half or more in terms of like how much complexity there is to that mechanic.
I was surprised to see this of all the abilities getting nerfed. Like, this one's the one that I was really the most confused about, because I didn't feel like that Lahuvim mechanic was that difficult. However, we did use like weak auras and had like assignment lists for players, and like
now you don't have to do that. You can literally just stack all 20 and you'll live. It does 14k or something, 15k.
So I think it, like, with that context, it kind of does make sense. Like, you're now able to do it without a weak aura and stuff like that. Halandris aftershock damage nerfed by 75%. This is going to reduce the amount of just like one-off deaths that you're having. Planet Cracker beam damage reduced by 65%. Does this mean in like the last phase you can just YOLO straight through it?
So Planet Cracker Beam did 75k every 0.3 seconds. So now it will do 25k every question mark seconds. If question mark here is like more than 1, then yeah, you could probably just run through it. If question mark here is like 0.5 or something like that, it's still going to be pretty killy.
Okay, that makes sense. Hopelessness and overconfidence duration increased to 16 seconds on difficulties was already 12.
Not a big deal.
So I mean, this already got nerfed, right?
It used to be 8, I think. Yeah. But the big deal is that it's not going to be triggered by coming into an unmarked player anymore. It's basically this, like, there's a meme about like, oh, difficulty changed from mythic to heroic, but quite literally here, this mechanic is being changed, and it's one of several that now has been changed, right, from the mythic to the heroic version.
I'm really surprised that this is the route that they took with this mechanic in particular, because you don't see it that frequently. So you see it once.
There's one blasphemy, or there's one cast this, the start of P1, that affects everybody. And then there's 2 more in P1 that each affect half the raid that hasn't been sent down.
And those are memes.
So the part where it won't be triggered coming into an unmarked player, I do see a lot of wipes from guilds, like as people are coming up, if there's blasphemy going on, you know, running into people that are marked, so that kind of thing. But
yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I do think this is probably not one of the big difficulty points of the fight, but they may have metrics that suggest otherwise for the guilds that are currently progressing on it.
March of the Damned, the wall, damage reduced by 75%. You could already live like one hit of it. You get stunned, which is...
Yeah, the stun is the annoying part still, but it was like 60k or something. Now it'll be like 15k if you get hit.
Soul Explosion damage and travel speed reduced by 30. That's when the ad explodes if you don't kill it, right?
No, Soul Explosion is the feet dodge, the blue swirlies from the little ads.
Oh, yeah. Okay, travel speed reduced by 30. So, this bangs. Yeah, this is a great change.
Huge nerf. And that's a moonkin right there for sure. You had to bait those, and dodge them, but now you'll be able to get 30% more time to do that. So I think the travel speed in particular of this is one of the nerfs that, because the reaction time you need is actually quite useful. That one.
It's one of the things that, like, the travel time is based off how far you were to the ad whenever it would die. And so, like, if you were too close, it would, like, almost insta-hit you, and it'd be like, okay, there's no counterplay to that. But the travel speed being reduced by 30% basically means that you can run straight through melee if you're baiting and be able to dodge. And that's nice. Banish Soul cast time increased to 16 seconds. And it was 12.
So you may need one less stun for these ads, but the main difficulty of the ads, which is damage coordination, making sure you don't kill them too quickly or too slowly, is still there. But yeah, you may need one less stun in the rotation now.
Yeah, and then Necrotic Detonation cast time increased by 30%, which is the ad that I was talking about.
That's the big ad, and this is a big nerf as well, because the ad deals damage to itself over time. So it's not like you have to do the same amount of damage over 30% more time. You actually have to do less damage because the ad is going to damage itself for longer as well. So it's you need something like half as much damage into that thing now.
So they made this boss a heroic boss, basically, right?
Well, I mean, there still are unique points of difficulty. Again, DPS management on the Lost Souls, interrupting the Grim Reflections, managing the mythic speeds, cast time increase, right? You're still going to have 0.8 second cast on the fourth one if you don't have Curse of Tongues on it, and like 1 second cast or whatever. If you do, like there are still some points in this fight that will cause difficulty, but yeah, this is a massive nerf to the difficulty of the encounter for sure.
Dark Eclipse now targets 3 players. On Mythic difficulty was 4. This means that you basically have 3 free of the orbs that people can accidentally run into.
You can either accidentally run into or let them expire accidentally. Yeah.
Yeah. And in addition to that, could you send people down and have them DPS the orb as well if you wanted to?
You could if you wanted to send people down to DPS the matter. If you don't send anybody else down, it's also getting its health reduced, so you probably don't need to. But if you want to, you could just send a blaster squad down at the end if you haven't gotten it the first time. Also, like, you don't have to be super precise with setting up 4 dying and then 4 dying and then 4 dying, right? Because like if 1 expires, it's kind of not a big deal anymore. So maybe that dramatically reduces the amount of work you have to do there.
They also increase the amount of duration the thing is on.
Yeah, these things already it used to be those Quasars would only be on the floor for like 4 seconds, and now they're on for like 16 or something.
I have it.
Yeah. No, they increased it twice. They increased 50%, and then they also increased it by a flat amount in one of the other ones, and those multiplied together as well. So it was
I have that as well.
Yeah. That's a normal and heroic one, but there was a mythic one too. Yeah.
Oh, rats. It was one of the nerfs somewhere. But yeah, and then Jailer. I mean, Jailer's still really hard. But like some of the nerfs that they did, most notably the changes to phase 4, mean that basically once P2 is going to be like the only point of progression.
P2 is going to be the hardest part, for most guilds. I think the Azurite healing, the Beyblades ripping across your screen, the aiming there, the healing of the people that are far away. Most of the damage that happens to those far away people is not nerfed or not nerfed by much, but some of it is. Unholy Eruption, that damage is a lot of the pain there.
I mean, the Torment
P3 and P4 are the big nerfs here for sure, though. Yeah. I
mean, Torment was already like. It's still rough. Like you can if your healers aren't in a spot where you're going to be reliably getting heals, you can still die to Torment fairly regularly. So I think that it getting shot by 30% again is big deal. Unholy Eruption, like you said, dude, that's just a massive nerf. I don't know. Basically, once you're able to get, I would say halfway through phase 3, you're probably in any pull territory to just kill the boss.
Yeah. So you still have to do P4. You still have to do up to the 4 Dispel. I think you're still going to have to correctly do the... I'm pretty sure you're going to have to do the 4 Dispel, but you're not going to get any... Like, once you do the 4 Dispel, the boss is going to die, potentially even before the second Meteor Cleave, but probably after for guilds that are still killing this for the first time. So there's still some P4 progression to be done, but
like, you're going to get, like, a set of bombs, you're going to soak a Meteor Cleave, and then you're going to do, like, 1 Dispel, and then you're going to drop the Torment that, or you're going to do another set of bombs, then you're going to drop the Torment that does the Defile, then you're going to do the 4 set, and then the boss dies. And so what is that, like a minute into that phase or something like that? Maybe?
Yeah, you won't spend all that long in this phase, and you don't need Bloodlust for it or anything anymore either, so you can lust P3, I think, for some pretty good value. So
most people are lusting the P3 to P4 like transition, like on the blood transition.
That was where we used to, that was what we did this week, but next week, I don't know. It's the world's our oyster. I mean, this is a huge nerf to the difficulty of the Jailer. But as you said, there are still a lot of really hard parts in this fight, and the Jailer was a uniquely difficult one.
Oh, okay. So we got some interesting tweets to look at. So first off, from you. Oh, well, this isn't sized correctly for the screen.
So bad, so unprofessional. I can't believe you would do this. And
anyways, I'll read it aloud. Biggest reason that so many nerfs were needed is that we are not really much more powerful than Race World First Raiders were on week 3. They were 275, 4-piece double legendary, and then we were maybe 277, which is true. And usually there's stuff like we had like rank 5 shards, and then we had like set bonuses, rank 12 cloak, and we've had passive nerfs across most patches.
Yeah, renown as well. Like they were killing without bottom traits of their renown trees, and we were, but like this patch had none of that, right? This patch we literally have 2 item levels on Echo, right? And we're trying to kill the same bosses as them, and those guys are 50% to 100% better than like, I mean, it depends on how you define better, but it's a big number better.
Yeah. So then Jet and Word Up had some interesting discourse
Yes.
as well. Word Up being an enhancement shaman player and like a world top 50 guild, also a Wowhead guide writer. Jet being a Race to World first caster, former Race to World first raider. I think that Jet's point is actually pretty valid. He says it's true that the power curve in this raid doesn't escalate as much historically, but so many of these nerfs have been mechanically focused. This raid has a massive step up in difficulty compared to any raid previous, not even looking at the tuning. And that's something that I would agree with, is like, more often than not, the first 80% of the encounters, like 8 out of 10 bosses, the relative difficulty, they're like not that much harder than heroic fights. Sure, there are some levels of coordination. There may be some weak auras that I don't want to say are necessary, but are heavily encouraged for you to be able to get, and that kind of thing. Whereas like with this raid, even Anduin heroic, man, that was like basically a mythic boss just mechanically. It just how you're positioning your character a lot of the time. There's a lot of stuff going on here. What are you thinking about?
I wonder if you sent 20 people into week 1 Anduin heroic, whether that boss is harder than current Anduin mythic. Because there's been like 40
nerf of that Anduin heroic.
And week 1 Anduin heroic was pretty nasty. Well, I mean, it had a lot of the mechanics that mythic does now.
I don't know if you remember this, but during heroic week, Thursday, Anduin got a nerf. And then Friday, Anduin got a nerf. And then Saturday, Anduin once more received a nerf. And then one more for the boys on Sunday. Anduin 4 consecutive days got nerfs on heroic. So it depends on which Anduin you're talking about. Because that first one, I was like, is this boss killable? I was like, okay. And obviously, 2 guilds killed it. Mm-hmm. Liquid and Echo. But it was one of those things, we made a video on it at the time. We're like, what is this boss? Like literally, what is this boss?
Yeah. So I guess the TLDR is they have hit a very high difficulty standard. I still do believe that a lot of it is exacerbated. Like maybe instead of there needing to be 7 massive nerfs or whatever, there could be 3 or something if it weren't for the fact that we're not doing any more damage than Echo was, right? But yeah, I definitely agree that with Jet and Word Up here, and Twisted as well, I had a reply about it as well, that like, yeah, it is unique mechanical difficulty that was introduced in this tier, that more mechanics of the pass fail nature during long boss fights that were repeated, that put pressure on like your whole raid, and that wiped the whole raid if messed up, than any raid before. And again, so many hard bosses as well. We're not talking about an average of like 1 or 2 hard, but like if your guild was working on Halandras, right, you've got Anduin, Ragalan, and the Jailer in your future, right, and you know it. And
okay, so
yeah.
I guess a couple things to talk about here. 1, is this a problem? 2, okay, so I think the biggest problem, 1, is this a problem, and 2, like what should Blizzard be looking to do in the future with stuff like this? For 1, is this a problem? I think that nerfing the raid this much to this dramatic of effect is an issue. Like if they feel like they legitimately need to nerf massive mechanical, they need to interact nerf interactions on how the mechanics work. If they ever are nerfing something by 90% to allow you to completely do a massive different strategy on this fight, and doing again, receiving like 100 nerfs. I had this Halandras one where it's just like Halandras's bomb got changed from 10 seconds to 30. I feel like if there are these kind of nerfs, and it's not just on one boss, three of them have had massive mechanical changes in Anduin, Halandras, and now Jailer. I think that is more problematic. But do you think that mythic raiding should be this difficult moving forward? I think that this is a little bit too much, maybe.
I have a difficult, like, I had the most fun, I think, of any raid tier this tier due to the difficulty that I got to fight. But yeah, I think that there's obviously I think that the way that it ended up getting nerfed this time was definitely like, okay, this is probably not ideal. So I don't know. I like the level of difficulty of these mechanics, but maybe not so many of them in the same tier. Maybe limited to 2 bosses instead of 4 that are of that level and that are right at the end of the raid. And even then, I'm fine if they get nerfed, a few months in. But here we had, again, Halandras, Lahuvim, Anduin, Ragalan, and Jailer have all had basically mechanic deleting nerfs received at various times. That's definitely, I think, too many to have gone that way.
I think it's been a long time since we've had a raid of this difficulty, and I do think that there was a large section of players who wanted a raid that was this hard, and I'm glad that we've had it. Like, I am genuinely glad that we've seen it.
I don't think that fights of the difficulty of pre-nerf Elandris, pre-nerf Jailer, pre-nerf Anduin need to never exist in a raid again. I just think not 4 of them in the same raid, because then, you know, I think you save those for last 2 bosses of raid tiers. And I think that if they want to make a tier as well where we don't gain a lot of damage on like week 5, week 7, week 10, some kind of week like that, like if they want to make a tier like this one where we kind of cap out on week 3, they should probably do an ICC style zone-wide buff that starts at some point and just stacks up and either nerfs the raid or buffs the players in the raid, you know, thereby nerfing the raid. Like, I don't think they need to do that every raid tier, but I think if there is a raid tier where we are not gaining effects like the bottom renown rows, the shards, the cloaks, like any of those sorts of things that make us more powerful than Echo and Liquid were, then, you know, that's a problem, right? Because like we are not as good as Echo and Liquid are. We're going to need some help from old Blizzard to kill the same
stacks
bosses.
of determination to be able to get in there.
Exactly, we need some stacks of determination for sure.
But the thing is these aren't even numeric.
Well, some are. Like, I think the Jailer, most of the difficulty is numerical rather than mechanical, and most of the, like, they have nerfed a couple mechanical things, sure, and they've removed like the last overlap of P4 effectively, but it's mostly just like brutal mechanics coming at you fast, and like, yeah, if we've got more health and healing and damage, like that fight is going to be a lot less hard.
I guess I contest that point. Is like, I felt like the dance and like the movement coordination on Jailer was by far the hardest part. But right, but I do understand that.
Why is the dance hard? Is because if you overlap somebody with Torment, you die, right? If you bomb the raid, you die.
Okay.
You know, if you don't have enough damage to the boss, right? Yeah, you need to be optimizing for the boss the whole time, right? Like, sure, some of the blood nerfs making it, but also like if you miss your heals, you don't have enough time to kill the boss, right?
DPS.
Echo needs all of the heals to land on Azeroth so that they can get to the end of P3 and kill it. We don't, right? We're pushing it halfway through P3 or something. So it is something that I think a lot of it would get fixed by increasing our health, damage, and healing, which either gear, other systems, or a zone-wide buff would do. And then they can come in with a scalpel for mechanics that are outliers still in terms of difficulty and decide to do those. But we wouldn't need to see like 20 bullet point patch notes. We could get back to the 2 bullet points that we know and love.
I don't even think did we get like any nerfs in Sanctum? I don't even remember.
Yeah, Kel'Thuzad got changed pretty significantly. You may argue it's not a nerf, and some would argue it was buff, but they went in there and gave that a pretty big change to how it functioned, right? So you didn't do the stop DPS thing anymore because the Howling Blizzard cast
Painsmith got slammed.
Painsmith got slammed twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe there was some pretty substantial nerfs.
I think some of the other runs did as well towards the late middle of the farm on that tier.
They all felt relatively fair. Yeah, I think because like nobody was complaining about Sanctum whenever the hole got busted through the wall. They were like, okay, that's fine. Because about the point that they did that change, there were a lot of guilds that were on that boss that like really needed it, and they were struggling with compositional issues. And so I think that felt pretty fair. Whereas for this, it's like, hold on, let me try to pull up some. Do you remember is it raidprog.io?
There's progstats.io.
Progstats.io. That's the one. Hold on, let me pull that up real quick, and so we can take a gander at.
Oh my god, dude! It has a dark mode. You can't be doing this to me.
It's fine. You need the vitamin D.
Oh my god.
But like, just hold on. Let's look at this Halandris one. Like, this is the moment that Halandris gets nerfed, and then like this is the moment that Anduin gets nerfed. And then Anduin's gonna get nerfed again. Like it's one of those things that
a lot but if you look at like how many guilds have killed these relative to how many killed Guardian of the First Ones, right? Or like these are not a lot of guilds that have killed these bosses. Compared, less than 1,000 have killed the 7th boss in this raid tier, right? Like that is unbelievably low number still. And like, yeah, okay, there's a big spike in that Halandris graph, but even that spike doesn't take it above where the bosses in comparable positions in other tiers were. On that week. Like this tier is still uniquely low amounts of kills on fights. Like there's still less than 300 Jailer guilds in the world, I believe.
Really? Oh gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, all right. Anything else you want to discuss? You think we're good there?
No, I think that about covers it. Yeah, I'm sure that there are some very erudite and great points that we haven't made, and maybe some inspiring viewers and listeners and stuff could put them in the comments below and add to our wisdom with their own.
We've been getting great feedback lately, and shout out all the commenters. They've been really supporting us, Dratnos.
Yeah, commenters own.
All
Very
right.
cool.
But yeah, I'm going to link this Wowhead post down in the description as well. You can take a look at it and link it to your guild. Talk about, oh my gosh. And
we
we got
lost in
deleted.
P3 jailer now.
Oh.
Any P3 lusters? Maybe.
Oh. Anyways, all right. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.